All right, thank you all for being here tonight. Our chair is under the weather, so I will be leading the meeting again. So those of you who are around the first time, sorry, it's a repeat of what used to be. So we'll go ahead and call this to order. It's 6:35. And the first item on our agenda, I believe, is the oath of office. Would we like to put that off for maybe until after we do staff reports, because you have another thing to present, right?
I do have. It's up to you. I can wait.
Okay, with consent of the DAB, if we could move this just a little further down the line and do staff reports first, just to give other members time to show up, so that way we can make sure they get sworn in tonight. So
they can't make motions without being sworn. And Debbie is out sick.
okay, well, thanks for keeping us on track, parliamentary rules here. I guess, James, go ahead and swear them in, and we'll see, maybe you can do a quick swearing if they do walk in a little later.
I'll take them to the side. Okay, Jesse, if you could please turn on your camera and unmute your mic.
I should also unmute, please.
I do not have a vote for Richard.
He's being reappointed. Yeah, he was on the list.
We'll look at it.
Another Zoom
We'll
problem.
figure it out. Okay, everyone, if you could please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Jessica Wigdahl,
solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States
solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
faithfully discharge the duties
faithfully discharge the duties
of the District 3 Advisory Board
of the District 3 Advisory Board
for the City of Wichita, Kansas, so help me God.
for the City of Wichita, Kansas, so help me God.
All right, perfect. Those who are here, if you could sign your oath and the yellow sheet, and then I'll come around and pick those up. Those online, we will email you your oath to sign, and you'll just send those back to us.
You want me to date it, or are you gonna do that? Well, I don't want to put you in trouble. Thank you. It's topical. Never had. I used to have an 81 Speedway, rest you had to furnish the face car. It's an optical, we don't have one after that. Over the side.
What's that French for?
Huh?
It's gotta be French for something.
Yeah. My fingers are pretty literate, you know.
That place was packed Saturday night.
Anyone
Standing room only.
all you need from me? I haven't gone for years.
The largest crowds they ever had, they said.
We parked probably quarter-mile away.
Angelo Speedway, the Outlaws,
What was the big event?
sprint cars,
Oh,
Outlaws.
okay. They figure I'll get it.
It was loud, dirty and fun.
All right, now we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. All right, let's move on to approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed?
Abstain.
That's true. All right, so we have five approval and 2 abstentions. All right, we'll move on to staff report. First up is fire department.
Good evening, Matt Bowen, Wichita Fire Department. I run out of firehouse number 2, just 1 block south of Lincoln on Broadway. I'm a battalion chief. Been with the city for quite a while. Great career. We have one of the finest fire departments in the nation. So, all the DAB members have a 10-page DAB report, and it's pretty comprehensive, covers all the different divisions in fire. I'm not gonna, we'd be here for an hour if I went over that. So, there's also a little 3-page, deal that Rebecca had given y'all. And I'm gonna go over some of the bullet points. Once I'm finished, or if you have a question while I'm presenting, don't hesitate to speak up and ask questions. April, every year, April's burn ban in Kansas, that impacts, the city of Wichita also. So the only thing that is legal during the April burn ban in the city limits is grills, your regular grill, your cooking fires, those items. Burn pits, anything like that, burn leaves, brush, that's not legal during this April burn ban. The reason for that is March into April is a environmental, weather pattern that a lot of times will have high wind conditions, Kansas, of course, but it'll have low humidity, and at the tail end of winter and going into spring before the new growth comes on, we have a lot of dried out fuels. So fire conditions can expand rapidly. And we don't think about wild land in the city of Wichita, but if you look at some of our neighborhoods and stuff, we have pockets and parks and areas along right of ways that have significant underbrush and growth, and a little bit of wind like we have today. Those dry fuels, they can take off and they expand really quickly. Within my career, I've been to several fires. Probably the worst one was in a neighborhood just north of WSU. 3 homes were lost to that incident, and it was a nice spring day, low humidity, high wind, and we're talking the yards weren't overgrown. It was just a normal neighborhood, and the fire progressed so rapidly. We ended up having about 15 pumpers there. We probably had about 85 firemen battling these different fires, and we got to stop. We didn't lose 3 homes though, but there was a dozen homes that was damaged. So that's the biggest reason for the April burn ban. District 3 news. Again, thank council and mayors and your support. New truck 7 went on track this past month at Firehouse 22, 2659 South Hydraulic. With that engine 22, brand new engine 22, we've been utilizing it to train new driver operators in our academy. And I anticipate it will be going on track at Station 22 this next week. So we're really excited about that. 2 new fire apparatus for Firehouse 22. Other things going on within the department right now. We're currently in a captain lieutenant promotional process. They've taken a written exam early March. In about a week, they start the assessment centers, and generally what that is, we have a list of 40 lieutenant candidates, 30 captain candidates, and the second part of their process is doing emergency scene exercises, oral interviews, and then they'll have a scenario that might be whether it be an employee or a citizen or something like that they have to take in the information and adapt and rectify the issue, whatever it may be. As always, second page of this. Well, Rebecca had that. I apologize. I just noticed. Go back to page 1. These are the first quarter numbers for District 3. Well, I did not notice when I was doing this, and this is my error. Obviously, our Power BI numbers aren't accurate because this adds up to a lot more than 63 firearms. We are busy. Historically, District 3 is the busiest fire duty, and I'm going to engage that with our support services division and see if they have anything. Again, I apologize for the inaccuracy on those statistics, but I'll try to get that corrected information to Rebecca. So every time I come, I talk about close before you doze. And I'm gonna keep doing it. I'll just spend a few minutes on it. This is one thing you can do for you and your family's safety in your homes that could save your lives. Simple as closing your bedroom door at night. That isolates and cuts off fire spread. A hollow core door, they've done all kinds of burn tests, and even a hollow core door can give you 10 to 15 minutes of direct flame impingement on that door. On this side, it's all fire. In your bedroom, it's breathable, tenable space. So what that means for us as firefighters, if you close your door, we do targeted searches. So if your house is on fire and we can't come in the front door because it's your living room and your front door is nothing but fire, we can't come in your back door because it's nothing but fire. We know typically the layout of about every house in Wichita. You know, we can look at it and size it up. We know, okay, these are the bedrooms over here, that window size, vents on the roof, that's a bathroom, that's a kitchen. We're gonna do targeted searches. So even though your normal egress route, front and back doors cut off, we're gonna come in a window, we're gonna do a targeted search of your property. Close before you doze has all that information on it, but something simple as closing your door can save your life, can save your kids' lives, critical information. So I'm off my soapbox there. Again, and this is a follow-up on the wildland and the April burn ban. Just some tips for you around your home that can help fireproof from exterior fires extending onto your home if something else to happen. And I won't go through all of those. But any questions at all?
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Janet. I'm looking at the District 3 other alarms.
Yes.
Those numbers are significantly higher. And I know those are usually one-offs, you know, weird stuff.
Yeah. So, you know, our service alarms and medical alarms is vast majority. Again, you know, for the quarter, this is, I'm questioning data now, and I apologize for not adding the numbers up for the monthly. Historically, when I've done this, that's about right for a quarter. District 3 coming out of winter, we have quite a few fires citywide, not just District 3. But I will get you some information.
Okay. Because I mean, it already has the medical alarms.
Yeah. And
So that's why I was wondering, boy, that's a lot of
yeah,
others.
and I apologize. That's
No.
my mistake, and I'll track down that information. And
I'm quite impressed with this report. Actually, it's much better than it used to be.
well,
Chief Bowen set the standard for all dabs, by the
Oh,
way.
yes.
I don't know about that, but this has tremendous amount of information, and it covers community risk reduction, covers our fire investigation unit, covers what's going on out of our training center, 4780 East 31st. I mean, tremendous amount of information, but I highly encourage you to look that over. And next time I present, I promise that I'm gonna have better information, better statistics.
It happens.
Yeah, we will. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Does the fire department still do inspections like for fire alarms and?
You bet. Our community risk reduction division downtown, if you need smoke detectors or anything like that, you can contact our risk reduction division, and I normally have that on the one I put out. And I failed to put my contact information to Chief O'Cades. Chief O'Cades runs the inspection and public education portion of our community risk reduction. We have a program that we can provide smoke detectors, we can provide installation. So we just need to contact our downtown number, and At the very back page, in fact, I'll give you this copy here. There's one copy of that over there. There's a phone number right there that you can contact and inquire about that, and they can schedule. Yes, sir.
How's the fire population with the homeless? Are you having trouble with that?
You know, this winter, we've responded to probably more than any previous year that I recall, homeless encampments that we've done there. We've had, I believe it's early last fall, we had a fatality in a homeless encampment. We've had several burn cases. You know, if we treat it, even though it may not be a brick and mortar structure, and we get those, you know, obviously we stretch our lines and we search those homeless encampments just like we would your home. That's their home, and we've seen an uptick of that. Also, in our unoccupied, you know, a lot of them are boarded up. I'm not gonna call them vacant because historically, and what we've found, especially the last 2 to 3 years, is if somebody has a house that's not occupied or, you know, that's vacant, it often gets utilized by homeless and well, and we've seen an uptick the last several years of fires and board ups, and which is really challenging to us because, you know, we're gonna force entry, we're gonna get in there because the fire started somehow, even if it doesn't have electric and gas and everything. And we're gonna get a primary search if we can do it. If it's searchable, we're gonna do it. It enhances the risk to us because we don't have easy escape routes. So oftentimes, if we have a significant fire in a board up house, even if it may not seem like a very large structure, we'll call additional companies to come because we start what we call softening. And what that is we take all of the boards off. You know, we throw ladders, stuck it full, we cut the boards off if it's 2-story. And that's just so we have an egress. So that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. One other thing, and Councilman Hoheisel is aware of this, and we're really excited. So over the winter, 944 South Peak is a historic United Methodist Church, beautiful church. Been unoccupied for several years. Over the winter, we made a lot of fire calls there. Used by the homeless as unsecured, and you know, we have a great partnering agency in MABCD, not only with the residential stuff, but with that. I mean, that was an extreme hazard, not only the folks utilizing the structure for shelter, but it was for firefighters also. We had one significant fire ended in December, and within a week of coordinating with our partners at MABCD, they reached out to the owners and the contractors came and secured the facility. So last Thursday, I was driving through the district, and it's become a habit to go by that church and make sure it's buttoned up and secured, and it is wide open. Wow. So I circle around, I talked to some folks that's working in the back, and I got to meet the new owner, Abdul Reef, and his partner and his architect and a woman from the Historical Society. And they're going to repurpose and renovate that into condominiums on the north end, and eventually phase 2 is going to. So the fire department's excited, you know, seeing that renovation, and he said you had been by last Wednesday and spoke with him, and so we're pumped up about it.
Yeah.
So that's a neat structure, and to see a local businessman do that, we're excited.
And it's the same thing with the vacant houses. There's some local groups who are kind of organizing and putting together plans to hopefully buy, you know, a lot of times those houses are owned by people who don't live in the county or even the state.
Yeah.
So attempting to buy a lot of these vacant houses that are sitting there just going derelict and, rehabbing them and getting them back on the market. We need homes, we need housing, so,
Absolutely.
there's some good momentum along that corridor as far as addressing some of this stuff.
That's very exciting. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you. Take care.
Yep. All right, next we're going to WPD Officer Jensen. Thanks for spending your evening so far with us here. Floor is yours, sir.
Absolutely, thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So to start with, we have our recruit class going right now with other recruits that are in the training process, the field training, and both of them are going really well. The officers that are coming out of the academy seem to be extremely intelligent, are picking up things real quick, so we're really excited to get them all the way trained so that they can get on their own and you know, assist bolstering our numbers. Right now, the department is getting everybody trained and having the new taser, which is the Taser 10. It is a higher quality, better functioning taser that allows us to be able to maintain less lethal at a longer distance, which allows us more reactionary time and to be safer. So we're really excited about that. The training tools that come with the Taser 10 there's a lot of really cool qualities. I just went through it this past week, and we were able to do a bunch of virtual reality training with it, which just helps you to be able to use it multiple times and really grasp the concept of it and how to manipulate it and everything like that. Patrol South, our community policing team, has created a Patrol South Facebook page where we will be documenting some of our activities, community events. If there's different things like road closures or a major incident or areas to avoid, we're going to try to keep up with that and get them posted onto the Patrol South page. So that way the community can be in the know and up to date with things that are going on, and also just be able to see the officers and kind of what we're doing and stuff. And most recently, we just finished with some Easter activities, some Easter egg hunts, and interacting with the children and things like that. And then lastly, it's been a good month. We've had a significant reduction in our Hyundai thefts, which has been really, really good. So the enforcement and the attention that we are paying to some of these individuals and things like that has been paying off. So we're excited and we hope we can keep it moving forward so it doesn't jump back up. So as of now, that's all I have. Are there any questions?
Questions from Dad? I see none. Questions from the audience, Mary?
I'm sorry, I ain't trying to go before y'all, I'm sorry. You were talking about the new tasers that the department is getting, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what are the rates on, or the ratio, or how you want the data on the harm that they do to the people that is being used against? Do you have any stats on that?
When you say harm, like what do you mean by that?
Well, it's been noted that sometimes when the tasers are used on people, it gives them, you know, heart attacks, stuff like that. You know, not to say that the police officer know that a person is suffering with an issue, a health issue, but just wanted to know if you have any stats on.
So, and I appreciate the question because that is absolutely a concern of ours, is what we call secondary injuries, not just the taser itself, but then whether they fall onto a hard surface or if they're at an elevated position or if they're in water. So we train so that our target areas are not anywhere near the heart. They're large muscle groups, and mainly like the back, the legs, and then stomach area. We also have it where we are not supposed to. Now, obviously, every circumstance is different. I can't say, for 100% it will never be used in certain situations, but we're not supposed to use it if there's an individual at a elevated position where they might fall, a great distance. We're not supposed to use it if they're in water because a secondary injury is them falling and then, swallowing water or aspirating water and drowning or things like that. So we do train for that. The virtual reality allows us to train and go over and over like our target areas and using the weapon so we can actually know what we're aiming at and how we're effective with it. As far as how often or the possibilities of somebody having a cardiac incident, I don't know those numbers. I know our training department would have all that information because they go through all of that before they even look into or start implementing these devices to us.
I can connect you with Sergeant Kimball over in the training facility who would know all of that.
Oh,
Sergeant Kimball, he's in charge of training.
okay,
He has all that information.
all right, thank you.
Any other questions from the audience?
That taser would be better than getting shot.
Yeah.
All right, I see nothing. Thank you, Officer Jensen, for all you do, and please be safe out there, and regards to you and all your fellow officers.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. All right, now we are moving on to library. Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Becca has a written update from Patrol East, so. Becca, before.
So Patrol East wanted to share the Quick Trip located at 3106 East Pawnee has reported an increase in shoplifting cases and a concentrated effort to reduce those numbers and identify those suspects was completed by a week's special assignment through community policing. I think that means the community policing team is trying to assist with the increased number of thefts.
I heard an update on this, sir, if I may cut
Yeah,
it.
go on.
I believe they caught 4 of their top 5 most common suspects as far as theft and shoplifting. It may have even been 5 out of 5, but I did hear this at a neighborhood meeting a week ago. So.
During 4 days, the community policing team arrested 18 people and arrested 1 of the top 10 offenders outlined by the crime analyst. Multiple warrants were cleared, approximately 12 grams of methamphetamine was seized, approximately 2 grams of fentanyl was seized, and approximately $500 worth of property was returned to the business.
The top 5 thefts for the location, not overall. So,
So the Quick Trip, catty corner from Plainview.
close
Yeah.
to
Yeah, it's the one right at Hilltop or Hillside and Bonnie. The new Patrol East substation is coming along very well. The move-in date is still slated for mid to late May. The construction is on/ahead of schedule. We will no longer be at our old location once moved in, and additionally, the satellite community policing office will no longer be used, and all special units will be housed at the new police station. Patrol East has launched a new Facebook page, very similar to Patrol South, and are encouraging you to join their social media for real-time updates. As warmer weather approaches, you're encouraged to keep an eye on your property as they're seeing an increase in larceny to auto cases. As always, do not leave valuables in your vehicle. Do not leave garage door openers in your vehicle if you leave your vehicles parked outside of your garage. This becomes an easy way for thieves to gain entry into your home or garage. Patrol East will undergo supervision movements in mid-April. East Community Policing will have a new sergeant and lieutenant, and those announcements will be made known to the public when available. I will stand for questions. I won't have an answer. Yes.
Okay, I haven't heard any news lately about the county jail, whether it's full or not, but if it's full, what are the sentencing procedures for shoplifters? Do they get sent to jail?
I don't believe so usually.
What do they do, fine them?
We
We
do.
will have to talk to the law department and get back to you.
Well, I just wanted, if there's no room, whether the judges are trying to strike down shoplifting, or they're just gonna slap them on that?
We usually just get a notice to appear.
You know, court date, a fine.
Yep.
If they appear.
And a lot of it also depends on if the business wants to press charges themselves on it.
Thank you.
I think the other
Probably
thing
arrested with the drug charges over there, not.
maybe you ought to take one of them schools and turn it into a temporary jail for nonviolent people.
Which neighborhood do you recommend we do that in?
Put it in mine, put it right next door to me. I got a shotgun.
Is that it from Patrol East? All right, library, you're up.
Hello, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Robin from the Walters Branch Library. They wanted us to go over Tony boxes again, that we introduced last month, to the Library of Things collection. They're music and storytelling devices for kids, and they provide screen-free listening, and the bundles come with the Tony's box, characters, and a charger. We did have several customers comment that they already have the box, but would like to borrow the different characters, so now they can borrow character bundles for free with their library card. And more information is available at wichitalibrary.org/Tonys. And then if you have a printout from Becca, I actually have a change from when we sent it out. Tommy Orange, the author of the Big Read selection there is not able to make it to Wichita. So his publishing company, Knopf, profusely apologizes on behalf of Tommy Orange, who unfortunately must cancel his April 24th event in Wichita. Tommy was very much looking forward to visiting both Wichita and Watermark Books, and Knopf was terribly sorry for all inconvenience. And then we wanted to push LinkedIn Learning as well. It's on our databases page on wichitalibrary.org/databases. It lets you take online courses for free at your own pace, as over 16,000 options. And you can develop your business, technology, or creative skills. And again, that's all free. And then Adventure Begins at the Library is the theme for this year's summer reading, and pre-registration starts next month on Monday, May 6th, and you can find more information on wichitalibrary.org/summer reading. And then I personally wanted to mention book librarian appointments again. We're still doing those at the Walters Branch Library, and we'll continue to as long as we have staffing. There's sessions where people can come in and get a one-on-one help from a librarian with basic technology issues, job applications, resume creation, and more. And to make an appointment, you can call the Walters Branch at 337-9125, or just come in and visit us in person. And then we had our first adult program, exclusive adult program at Walters, a doc and talk, which is a documentary and a discussion following on the evening of March 27th with 7 attending. Each participant got a free copy of There by Tommy Orange, and we were able to watch the documentary together and then hold a short discussion on how the film related to the book. And next month on April 17th from 5 to 6:45, we'll have another Dawson Talk in honor of National Poetry Month. We're going to watch segments of the documentary, The Poetry Lounge, Understanding the Power of the Spoken Word, which will allow participants to see the fundamentals of writing and performing spoken word poetry from some of the most accomplished poets of the movement, and we hope to see you there. That's all I have.
All right, questions from Dab? See none, questions from the audience?
No
My
question.
boy.
I'm always glad you're the last of the three because you have such an open, very enlightening presentation.
Thank you.
But
Thanks. I try to keep it positive.
right, my boy and my wife love going to story time up at
Yes.
the Walters Branch. I love seeing you there. So we got expanded hours. We got good usage of the facility, so you guys are doing a great job there, and I appreciate all the work.
Yeah.
What is the name of this branch you keep referring to?
Walters.
The Walters Branch
Walters.
Library. It's at 4195 East Harry in the Harry Street Mall.
Yeah, okay.
Right in front of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. You guys have a good evening. All right, on to the public agenda. We have two scheduled speakers here. First up, Miss Dean, and she's going to speak on reparation petition. So she's spoken to council about this before.
A little slow, getting up, y'all.
We're all getting there.
I feel you.
Oh.
Speak for yourself, young man.
Oh, yeah. 81-year-old is the most fun.
Yes, yes. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Councilman Holt. Thank you. You are my council person. And to the DAB three board. I appreciate the opportunity to speak before everyone, okay? And don't get nervous. My name is Mary Dean. If you don't know who I am the president of an organization called Kansas Justice Advocate. It is a nonprofit social justice organization. And I am a longtime advocate in Wichita, Kansas. I advocate for people on everything. Whatever impacts that particular person, whatever issue it is. Janet knows me, she knows.
You do
what I
good
do.
work.
Yeah. The reason why I'm here to advocate and get the support of this board to support the establishment of a commission to study reparations in Wichita. Wichita is, let me just say that there are other cities around the country that have established commissions and that are doing doing well and doing a study. It's not something that happens overnight. Kansas City, Missouri, our sister state, they have established a mayor's commission to study reparations, and they have seated those commissions. Evanston, Illinois, they were the first ones to establish a commission, and as we speak, they are dispensing money to people to do home ownership, which is part of generational wealth. Asheville, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Boston. It's just so many cities across the country that are doing it. And the reason being is that HR 40 has been lingering in Congress since 1989, when John Connors is the one who presented the bill. It's never gone anywhere. So instead of continuing to wait for that, cities are doing it for themselves. The governor of New York just last year signed a bill into law to establish a commission to study reparations for Blacks in New York, state of New York. This year, they chose the people that's gonna be on that commission, and they're seated. So it's happening all across the country. And I want Wichita to be one of the cities that joins everybody else in doing the right thing and establish a commission to study reparations for Blacks. Now, everybody, people I know, they want to say, oh, we're not gonna give you a check, you don't use that. It's not about money, okay? It's about Black economics and the wealth gap. It's about criminal justice system. It's about the healthcare gap. It's about the voter suppression. We have right in Topeka, right now, they're trying to get bills to suppress people's votes in rural areas, young people, the urban areas. What the heck's going on? We have a criminal justice system that is not equal. Anybody says that it is, they're living in la la land. We have a broken foster care system. I just got called yesterday to be part of a court hearing for a father whose daughter wanted to stay with him because she didn't want to stay with her drug addict mother. And instead of the system saying, okay, we're gonna let you stay with your daddy, they want to put her in a home. So why is that? You have DCF that have got rid of St. Francis because they weren't doing a good job. And they hired another agency, but the agency is doing the same thing as what St. Francis is doing. So reparations is more than about a check. It's about doing reparative justice for those that have suffered with systemic racism for decades and even up to now. So I presented a proposal, or ordinance, to the council February the 5th. February 13th, I was told that it's in the law department for review for 30 to 60 days. We passed at 30, so we're going on 60. So in the meantime, I want to show the city that there is support here in Wichita to get a commission to study reparations. And by doing that, I created a petition for people to sign. So once the ordinance becomes up for public discussion, I can show folks. Look here, Council Hohauser. Your community supports establishment of a commission to study reparations. That's what this is for. This is my 5th presentation to the public. I'm trying to do it as much as I can. So I'm here to ask for your support to sign this petition to show the city that we're gonna join other cities and have a commission to study reparations. So that's all I have to say. And as I said, I would love your support if you would. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question, Mary. There's so much ignorance out there. I know that the general public often does not understand the impact that the Jim Crow laws had. My brother-in-law just posted something really asinine about white privilege on Facebook, and my husband said, I'm waiting until I see him in person to talk to him. So if nothing else, do you feel like, or in other cities, have you seen, has the commission been helpful with just like general education?
Yes, because that's one of the things per the ordinance and per what I'm trying to do is educate the community, the public. That it's not just don't focus on the check, focus on all the other stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
Not just in some other state, but in Wichita.
Yeah.
Cause I'm focusing on Wichita.
And we got.
I got all my information that I presented for Wichita. And also I have a YouTube channel. And you can go on my YouTube channel and you can look at all the presentations, Mary Dean. You can look at all the presentations that have been done by Attorney Mickey Dean, who is the founder of the movement in Kansas City, Missouri. And he's also one of the advisors to the commission for reparations. And I'm on national calls, webinars and Zooms every week with founders of the movement for reparations every week. So if you want to be educated about what reparations really is and what they're all about and why, go on my YouTube channel, look for Mickey Dean's presentation on January the 8th, and my presentation on February, I think the 2nd, 5th of the 2nd. But there's a lot of information on my YouTube channel about reparations.
Maya?
Miss Dean, I love the presentation so far. I just had a question that, so for the study petition, is like a study of how reparations would help elevate Black people, like is it a study, like just like further clarification on what the commission would look like or what would we do?
Yes, the commission would be made up of scholars and researchers that will make suggestions and recommendations on how it can be reparative justice for Black people here in the city of Wichita when it comes to urban renewal, environmental injustice, criminal reform, all of that. I'm on the Kansas, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Kansas Brave Stirring Committee. And this is a new committee that is trying to make recommendations when it comes to the broken child welfare and foster care system. And my question to them today was, have you researchers came out and really talked to the people that are boots on the ground, that are really providing the services for these kids? Besides your research, who you been talking to? Because I'm hearing the same old crap. So yes, it's supposed to be about reparative justice for people, Black people in the areas of Black economics, wealth gap, criminal justice, reform, healthcare gap, voter suppression, all of that.
Like the only other thing I've had is, how can I get involved? How can I help their petition? I was also thinking, I know a lot of youth, people my age, are pretty passionate about this subject. I know people that would definitely support this cause. And I think
Honey, all you got to do is take some of these petitions
I
to
got
those
you.
meetings
You
and
have-
print them out if you want to spread the word and get back with me. I'll give you my card and you can contact me and I can pick them up. You can bring them to me.
I was gonna say, even if you don't, I would say social media would definitely be something so big, even just to get the word out, because I think
Yes,
sometimes social media is so widespread, like even just a reshare can.
I've been trying to, that's social media I use a lot, but you're right about young people. I was really encouraged and impressed when I went to WSU a couple of weeks ago. And I did a petition drive there. And one young lady and was going to her class, she stopped and she signed. Melanie Miller was sitting next to me. And she said, why aren't so-and-so department, why aren't they here? She went to her class and all the students from her class came down and signed this petition because they are in support of that as well.
Is there like an age limit? You have to be 18?
18 and over,
18 and older?
yes. And know their council person. They should know their council person. And if they don't, it was suggested that they put in there all council members. Okay. Any more questions? Okay.
We talked about something in the state house, voter suppression, and maybe a two-floor elevator speech. How are they suppressing voters?
How are they suppressing voters when you're saying you don't want drop boxes, when you're telling people that you don't want early voting and all that, that's not suppressing votes?
Well, I don't think so. When I grew up, you went to the polls on voting day. If you want to do a mail-in ballots, pretty well had to be in the military assigned.
But it's different.
What's different? All they've done is
I'm 75 years
no,
old.
they made voting fraud easier.
Oh, come on. What's your
Well,
name?
you have your opinion, I have mine.
I know.
I'm not dismissing you.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not, we discussing, because you just said earlier about, discussion and contention.
Yeah,
We discuss.
we go outside and talk.
Find out the number of cases we've had in here.
Yes,
Do
but
what?
no,
Find out the number of cases we've had voter,
I'm not saying, I'm just saying that makes it easier.
yeah, I mean, when I was looking and, looking up information about Wichita.
Yeah.
I seen that in Topeka, that they are, submitting and have submitted bills to, suppress young voters' rights to vote. Rural areas, make it more difficult for them to vote, and also the urban areas.
I've been a poll worker and I'm sorry I haven't seen it, but that's okay.
Oh, well, why are they, well then, but I tell people when they say,
It's fine.
my vote don't count. And I said, well, if your vote didn't count, why are they changing laws all over the country if your vote don't count?
I encounter those people and you cannot teach them that their vote counts.
We're gonna go back to state of order.
Yeah.
We are well over our 5-minute public agenda
We
time.
need to be apologists.
Yeah, you're
It's
good.
me that starts it.
Well, Mary,
You could give,
Yeah.
okay,
I'll give you
great.
Yeah, I would
I
say-
wanted to get a card from you.
yeah,
Do you want me to leave?
yeah, leave it back by the sign-in sheet and the cookies. It'll be well seen back by the cookies.
Except all cookies.
Yeah, the forms too. If you feel, if you wanna sign, go back there at some point during the meeting or after and sign. We'll take it with us. It'll be at Colvin, so if you wanna stop by Colvin and pick it up.
Okay, well, thank y'all for that.
Well, thank you, Ms. Lee. Appreciate it.
Okay, okay.
And then next up, we have Faith Martin. She is another common speaker in front of City Hall, so I appreciate her being here as well. And she's gonna talk today about the FOP content, so.
So it's hard to follow Miss Mary, and thank you so much for having me, and thank you to all the district advisory boards. I followed Michael in and he's telling me that District 3 is the best, and I said, well, I sit on District 2's advisory board, I won't tell. So I respect all of you for being here. I sit on a DAB, so I know how much work and how lengthy some of these nights will be, so I'll try to keep my comments brief. I am the vice chair of the Racial Profiling Board. My name is Faith Martin. Our board has been around since 2005. I left a few pamphlets in the back if you're interested to learn more about what the mission of the Racial Profiling Board is and some of the work that we've done in the community. Really briefly, we work with law enforcement to change policies to eliminate racial profiling bias. That's through training and education. We strive to increase knowledge in our community so people understand what their constitutional and civil rights are, and also to have a better understanding of law enforcement. And finally, we encourage our elected officials to advocate and pass stronger legislation that creates accountability for law enforcement, as well as prevents officers from using their bias to profile drivers or pedestrians. We've had some big wins the last couple of years, getting the suspended driver's license bill passed. We just had a bill passed just last week that instead of getting your license revoked, you will now get it restricted for fines and fees and allow you to go to work, go to school, go to the store, childcare. So other things that we have done in the community are we work with the Citizens Review Board. We work with local advocates just like Miss Mary and lots of people around the community to try to improve our community and relationships with policing. The City of Wichita Fraternal Order Police contract is very important to us. We have worked with local government and police for many years to try to provide recommendations. And this document that I put in front of you kind of gives all that work a little bit of a face so that you can have a kind of a quick understanding. Basically, the Racial Profiling Board does not want to get in the middle of the collective bargaining agreement. We understand that that's between employees and their employers. But before that bargaining agreement is negotiated, the community should be able to have their input. We should be able to look at drafts similar to we do like the budget process, because policing is 41% of the budget. So people probably want to weigh in on this agreement. It happens every 3 years, so now's the time. They're going to finalize it in December. And so basically this collective bargaining agreement, what we're saying is this process right now is negotiated without any community representation. Once you get into that negotiating process, the community is not involved because that's between the employer and the employee. But we want to make sure that the city manager and our local electeds and staff create an environment where the community can talk about how the contract impacts policing in Wichita. If you look at the current contract, and we actually had someone that gave public comment yesterday, and then we had another member of our board that gave public comment in the first week of March City Council meeting. And if you'd like to watch those videos, they're on the City of Wichita YouTube page. Shout out to City of Wichita on social media. Basically talking about why this is important, what we need to do, and why the public should be involved. The current contract, in our opinion, and from a lot of the research we've done, doesn't meet the standard of what a solid, good contract should look like when we're talking about how the community sees policing, how complaints are processed, how grievances are handled. Administrative investigations are a big one. There's some retaliation fears based on data that's provided, and also the ability for officers to use vacation pay when they get suspended, which basically the public's perception of that is, if I'm going on vacation, am I really being punished? And so we've heard some other community feedback talking about, again, the process is hidden. There's no input on this process. People also don't understand how it works. There's a proposal and then they look at it and then it comes back and there's a lot of negotiating that happens, but there's time at the beginning, at the middle, and at the end for the public to get engaged. Some of these are issues that the community has told our board specifically. If you look at the big numbers on there, legal defense coverage, when we talk about how the city of Wichita is spending their money, when we find that millions are being spent on settling cases with the police, you know, people may want to get more involved and understand, what does this look like? I tried to do stoplight so it ends on a positive note. So next steps, we would like to see some best practices from some other cities. We went pretty in depth with the Austin and Baltimore FOP contracts and MOUs because we really thought those two best encapsulated what the community is kind of looking for. One of the best practices is create an office of police oversight that would help with internal affairs investigations, and basically they would have subpoena power to be able to represent the community in what seems like a very private, closed off process. We'd also like to see the contract talk about the complaint process, talk about disposition. What happens if I make a complaint? What does disciplinary and non-disciplinary mean? Why would your complaint get closed? What training is required when they get, you know, supervisor or coaching? A lot of those things it's not very transparent. People don't understand what that means. And when they've had an issue, they feel like they weren't heard and that their complaint was just basically tossed aside. That may not be true. They just don't understand the process, and we haven't done a good job at the city explaining this to people so that they can get more engaged. We recommend that there are, just like the Jensen Hughes report did, that we paid $214,000 for, that we remove barriers to misconduct investigations, that the vacation I already brought up, the code of conduct pay. Basically, Jensen Hughes and the racial profiling board agree that offering incentive pay to behave in accordance with policies and regulations basically implies the city is paying a premium to not be bad, to not engage in misbehavior. Also the coaching and mentoring that I already brought up. And we want to make sure that any effort to renegotiate this FOP allows officers to not to have the ability to review all the cases. That's where the civilians that are involved feel like there might be retaliation because the officer has all their information involved in the complaint. So what I need help from you, and obviously from our elected, public engagement, create a public town hall. I really appreciate the time that you guys have taken to create some evening meetings and do some other things. There's some social media town halls coming up for other issues for the budget. We'd like to see that. Maybe an online survey, but we'd like to mirror what the police chief selection process looked like, where there was a lot of community feedback that was involved in. And I will do one more shout out to the budget process. If you have not engaged with the budget process, please, 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 go take a look at that, because like I said, 41% of the budget is policing. So it's not just the FOP contract, but also the budget process. So I really appreciate your time. I'll stand for questions. I know that was a lot and it was really fast, but really just would like to see your help with some community engagement. No,
Any
all right.
questions for Faith?
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Faith. All right, off agenda items, anybody from our public wanna speak on any issue? See none, we'll move on. We had a zoning case, this zoning case, we are just going to have to dismiss it. I guess it's not something that we hear. It's gonna be looked at administratively instead, so with that, do I have a motion to receive and file?
Don't move.
All right, so I have a second. Paul and Mike, all in favor? All right, all opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Next up, I believe Jamie will be speaking on public participation and resident engagement, so,
Did you already announce the zoning cases?
yeah. Received and filed, so. Paul, moved, Mike.
I was wondering where comms was.
We're gonna fumble through the comms part tonight. So we each took a couple dabs and I was like, you know what? I want dab 3.
Yes. Have a clicker, it should work, or I can click for you if you just.
Wonderful. Okay. Hello, I'm Jamie Buster again. You know me from swearing you in. I am the city clerk of Wichita. Here to talk about public participation, public engagement. So the first portion of this is it's what I do. It's part of the city clerk's job. So we run the city council meeting with the mayor. And we also are in charge of those who sign up to speak at the city council meetings. And I wish Faith and Mary were still here because they sign up to speak a lot, so they know the process and can talk about it. So right now, per city code, public comments are allowed during certain agenda items and also in a specific section called public agenda. The public agenda is handled on a first come, first served basis, and you have to sign up by noon a week in advance. So for next Tuesday's meeting, you had to sign up by noon this Tuesday. We allow 5 speakers at each meeting. So sometimes we have 5, sometimes we don't have any. It's kind of a toss up. Sometimes we have 5 and only 2 show up. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes to speak. Usually the mayor's pretty lenient, let you go over to finish your thought. They never really cut you off unless it's way outside of decorum. But citizens wanting to speak on agenda items, they may discuss those agenda items after it's presented. So for example, a new business item, if we have one, say we have one about reparations. Then once it's been presented to the city council, the mayor will open it up for public comment. And at that time, anybody is welcome to come up and have 5 minutes to speak. At the direction of one of the council members, we were asked to look into this and do a comparative analysis on it. We looked at 5 peer cities: Tulsa, Fort Worth, Des Moines, Oklahoma City, and Kansas City. We kind of looked to see what all they do. Not all of them allow public comment. Kansas City, for example, allows it during their council standing committee meetings only. Registration process, for public comment on agenda items, Wichita does not require it, and neither does Kansas City. Tulsa and Des Moines do. Wichita does require registration though for the public agenda section. Wichita and Tulsa, see on this chart, we allow 5 minutes per item, per person to discuss. Other cities allow 3 minutes or 2 minutes. So we are actually at the top of that.
Question,
Yes.
if you allow 5 speakers,
Hold on, Mike, we have to save questions to the end because I can't record minutes while she's in the middle of a presentation.
okay, that's fine,
You don't mind.
Write it down. Okay.
I'll remember.
So,
Like a councilman right here, you gotta be quiet and let staff get.
with, if we changed, the public comment or anything like that, there's no financial cost to the city. For legal considerations, it falls under compliance with the First Amendment right. And then our recommendation, we presented this on the 19th to the city council on March 19th, and it was to just receive and file the report because it was directed by council staff, their first staff to look into this. So the second part that you guys are gonna ride with me about is about public participation. And how we engage the community. So this is more communications team, but I know some of it. So changes in communication. We've had a lot at the city. We started City Channel 7 in 2008. Facebook around 2010. Since then, we've done Nextdoor. We do live streaming of meetings. That was prevalent with COVID. That's when we started doing more live stream, and remote meetings, like we have tonight with a hybrid. We have different platforms for different audiences. Not everybody receives their news the same way. So some are, Facebook, LinkedIn, social media, the newspaper, there's all different kinds of outlets that we have. Who communicates with the city? Usually it's really engaged residents that do. Those are the ones we hear from the most. Only when we have, big projects or issues occurring in a certain area, that's when others come out and they want to discuss what's happening. Or if they have to, that's when people come out. So we're trying to look at how do we encourage more involvement? And that's where, your suggestions for us are very valuable as district advisory board, is your suggestions to us on how we can include more community engagement. We do have our national community survey that we put out every year. This helps us run the budget preparation time. This highlights different areas that citizens are concerned about. If you look at the kind of magenta quadrant, that's what citizens feel is the most important thing in the city that needs the most attention. So you'll see crime prevention, street repair, who doesn't want streets repaired? Public information is on there. So that's what we're trying to help you guys, have you help us figure out. For the city council, we broadcast on YouTube, wichita.gov, City Channel 7. We broadcast the agenda reviews. Those happen every Friday before a regular agenda meeting. We also have multiple evening council meetings. Turnout, it's kind of give and take. Really, turnout depends on the issues being discussed at the meeting. Just me being the city clerk, I notice people in the audience, and if it's a big topic that people want to talk about, they'll be there. A lot of times if it's not, they don't come to the city council meeting. So what can we do to get more people there to watch the council member crack jokes?
Not me.
No, not you. No. He keeps it entertaining for us.
Somebody has.
Somebody has to. That's Mike's job. For council involvement, we also have the mayor and council city staff do speaking engagements. Like tonight, we engage the community. We have the mayor's media briefing, the district advisory boards, periodic district breakfasts. We do emails, phone interaction with council members, all kinds of stuff. We currently have 39 boards and committees. That is a lot. I think there's a couple that are not included in there, that are kind of sub boards and committees that we also track too. So I want to say the number's more about 43. These are all open to the public. They're comprised of community members like you guys. Many of them are live streamed, uploaded on YouTube for anyone to view. Budget engagement. Faith talked about it a little bit ago. We've started doing budget workshops, town halls, social media town halls. We have the budget simulator online, DAB meetings, council meetings, you name it. We are trying to get the budget out there and get citizen input on it. Budget is very important and it's going to become more important over the next few years. We want to know what citizens want. We want to know what's most important to citizens. Our website, which I hope everybody's seen the new website. It's really nice, a lot easier to navigate. We have emails, phone numbers, forms, calendars. You can sign up to receive notices, all kinds of stuff on there, newsletters, whatever you want. We have it on the website, and if something you don't see on there that you want, let us know. You can also find your council member if you don't know who it is, what district you're in. You guys should all know. We hope. We did include on the public agenda forms to fill out online what council district you're in, so you can add that so the council members know when you sign up to speak what district you're in.
So they know, we know, they call us out.
Yeah.
And I'm in that guy's district. Oh.
We have, our lovely snowplow tracker that got recognition on CNN this past year for our names. That was really fun. Water outage maps, Municode, which Municode is our city code. For those of you who don't know, it's where we post all of our ordinances that become part of city code. Cora requests, which is Kansas Open Records Act. You can go on there, you can fill out a form for Cora requests. There's also an online library that tells you different requests that have been made and the information that's been distributed. Agendas and minutes, I post all those on there. Propel is very exciting. It's a small business loan for local small businesses, women-owned, minority-owned businesses. It's a really great loan. We have 55 plus social media avenues and platforms. We have the social media town hall, the live video Q&As, different forums, online surveys. We also have emergency alerts that are available. Those are through Sedgwick County, and also ones that we have ourselves, like water boil advisories. As far as citizen engagement, there's the Citizen Engagement Academy, Citizens Police Academy, Citizens Fire, Mayor's Youth Council, along with all the boards and commissions that we have. Staff is usually there to present at all these boards. It's good to get involved. We have so many opportunities to get involved. More on the town halls and public meetings, some examples are, of course, the budget. Park and Recreation has some. The KDHE issue with the contamination at 29th and Grove, huge public meeting. We also had a huge town hall recently on homelessness, and kind of different solutions for that. Baseball stadium, Faith mentioned the police chief search. We have all different types of town hall meetings that are open to the public. Television, print, and radio media. Our mayor, she presents at various stations, news stations. We respond to media requests. We send them media requests pitching different stories and events going on. We have media briefings and events, and we also do legal publications in both the Wichita Eagle and also on the city's website. Let's see. So as far as engagement, we have the water boil orders that we do, water rebate programs, proposed changes to fireworks. So kind of, big ticket items like that, we try to engage as much as possible. We also use social media influencers a lot of times. We have several regular people that we use. Recently, I want to say Wichita by EV, he came out and did some street repair stuff and kind of showed the public how we patch streets. Yes, he did. So yeah, we do several different things like that because we know that's a different audience that we might not reach. Paid media, radio, TV, print publications, billboard, Google ads, basic stuff. Recruitment for City Hall. We host career fairs. We have employee decals, employee vehicle decals we use. We speak at different high schools, military bases, different media buys that we have, job openings. Signage, have you guys noticed like our street signs are getting better? Janet. But instead of just, your road is a huge layer taken off your road and you're like, what's going on? We put up these fun little signs like, hey, we're coming back, don't worry, it'll get fixed.
I get a lot of complaints, because the first phase of repaving a road like that, we go through and we take out all the little buckles and
Yeah.
fill the problem areas before we come back and do the overlay, so.
Broadway.
Yeah, so in between that, when it's all, they think that that's all the repair that we're doing, so I just get flooded with phone calls.
Yeah.
What are you doing the wood lawn? You did, we gotta, so this is
Did
important,
you see the sign?
yeah.
So yeah, that's just like a new little thing we're doing, different yard signs for events. Other communication networks we have, direct mail, we have call center chatbot on our new website, we have podcasts. There's several different podcasts that the cities do, different departments do it, police does it. Water bill communications. And internal communication, this is employee engagement. We have a citywide email that we send out when there's different things going on. We have an employee appreciation committee that, you know, we get little things like popcorn and stuff when, every once in a while. We're working on plans though to better communicate with employees as well as citizens. So. That is it. I know, it went out. But that is, that's kind of it tonight. Do you want me to just talk about publications?
Yeah, let's let them ask questions and talk
That was
about that,
first.
and then if you would, the publications.
Okay, so yeah, what all questions do you have? What all suggestions do you have? We are here. Yes.
Okay, let me make sure I'm clear. If you want to speak at the council meeting, you've got to register before Tuesday noon of the previous week.
Yes, the
Okay.
week in advance by
If
noon.
you allow 5 speakers and you have 2 scheduled, what is the harm in letting that go to Wednesday or Thursday to fill up, so you have all the speaker space?
So this is, unfortunately, it's set by ordinance.
Yeah.
And that's what the ordinance says. As city clerk, I'm bound by the ordinance to follow that. And so that's just what we have to do. We have that cut off. We are looking at changing that and looking at redoing the ordinance, which is kind of why Councilmember Glasgow had us do this study. And so we can get more citizen comment and engagement.
Do they have to remove the original ordinance or can they amend it?
We have to amend it.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least you're looking into it.
We are. There's, we've got a couple of people who consistently will call on Thursday or Wednesday and want to be on. And they'll say, well, you probably got spots, just put me on. I'm like, I'm sorry, I cannot. But I can offer you these dates instead. So we can always offer different dates at the moment, but right now, yeah, that's for the ordinance, that's the cutoff.
And also a point of clarification,
Mhm.
you don't have to do that to speak to an item on the agenda. It's just if you wanna go speak on something, Jim, but if there's an item there, you just gotta show up. There's not even a limit as far as how many people speak. You can have 20 people lined up to speak about whatever issue we're going over during council for 5 minutes, so.
I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
the fountain colors flash into my brain. Declaration, and so I'm sorry, Tom Jefferson, we have an ordinance against that, you have to come back next week.
Well, I'm sure
So,
Jefferson wasn't listening to
If
half.
you call on Thursday, you wanna speak about how great Mike is for like 5 minutes? I have to push you off to another week,
Yeah,
but if you show up to the meeting and you wanna speak on, say we just did the Orpheum. We have the Orpheum item up and you wanna speak on that, then you don't have to sign up for that.
I'll know if you wanna speak up about how great I am. Sure, I can grease those.
That's a good item.
Yeah. Councilman Ryan.
I would say like the only like youth perspective that I can get, cause probably not a whole lot of engagement from my age group on high school, probably not that much engagement with us or.
You know, as far as speaking at meetings or just,
Or maybe just, I'll say in general, I'm probably not at meetings that much because during the day, I know it's pretty difficult if you have a job or like school, like I can't tell my 8th grade teacher I'm going to a city council meeting, so I
Yeah.
can't come to class.
I would say, what, in the last like 3 or 4 years, we've had more youth engagement.
Well, actually, the summer work program also gives teens a lot of exposure.
Yeah, yeah.
I did the way to work program.
Yeah, the way to work gets a lot of exposure, and yeah, in the last 3 or 4 years, we've had a lot more youth engagement, like they have come to meetings, they have spoken at meetings.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of really cool when they get up and speak, because usually they don't.
Right.
So that's, engaging youth is something that we're looking at, that we're wanting to do. Which is kind of why we have the social media influencers too, to help engage with those.
So yeah, I would say definitely like, especially I feel like if you use like TikTok or Instagram, definitely trying to like follow trends that are going on that are like appropriate to the city and everything like that. Just things of that nature, things that people could repost also. I just know that's kind of like a big thing. Like if I see something on Instagram, I'm like, like I should probably repost this. Like it's just 2 clicks. And I know that can help reach a wider area. And I just know for my age group, social media, I would say especially TikTok and Instagram for my age group would probably be the biggest hitters. And I think also like you could even utilize youth like members and things like that to try to advocate or like share that. Like when I tell people, oh, like I'm on the district advisory, but like I'm a youth member, like they have those, like you can do that. Like,
Yeah.
how do I do that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think sometimes if I wasn't recommended by Councilmember Johnson because I did the Way to Work program and I worked at Atwater, if I didn't do all of that, I wouldn't have even known about being able to have this position. So I think just kind of like getting the word out that.
So maybe if we did different like segments on the youth DAB members or
And
something
exactly
like
how
that.
you can get more engaged with like,
Okay.
or like the Mayor's Youth Council, we gotta do a better job on our social media, but I'm working on
You did a
it.
really good job when we were at that conference.
Thank you, thank you. But I just think, utilizing like the youth spots that you have to try to outreach to the youth could be.
Just gonna showcase the youth.
You can use me as a guinea pig, I won't mind.
Okay, thank you. Should you put that in the minutes? Yes.
Did you have?
My question, more than a question, that's kind of what happened yesterday. I was observing that, it was like 2 or 3 people didn't show. The mayor calls them out and he just moves on to the next person.
Yes.
And then those 3 are just dead time and you just go along with it.
Yes. Yeah, and it's unfortunate when we have a full public agenda of all 5 people and then people don't show up, because that could take somebody else's time that tried to sign up.
Wasn't that 3 of them yesterday?
Yes.
Left 2 to speak.
Maybe the issue was resolved within a week.
What's that?
The issue may have been resolved within a week.
Oh, yeah.
So I had a couple of thoughts.
Yes.
I can now say other things I couldn't say when I was an employee. Um,
There we go.
At Tuesday's meeting, Becky Tuttle brought up the survey, talked about the survey and the lack of trust in government. And what they always fail to mention about that is the lack of trust is in the elected officials and not the city staff. But they always expect staff to fix the perception. Well, it's impossible for staff to fix public perception of elected officials. I recently went and spoke at a council meeting on an item. 25 people showed up to speak against it. 1 person showed up to speak for it. And the city council went ahead and passed it, even though 25 people were against it. That is what shakes trust in government. 25-1, and they still passed it. So that might, they might give some thought to that if they want to change their perception. Also considering the budget that is presented to the DABs and at that town hall social media thing is never the same as the budget that is presented to the city council on the day they vote on it. And that has infuriated me as the 22 years I worked for the city, because that is not transparent. If you want public input, you show them the real budget, not what you just cooked up to share. And that's not right. And that's another thing that erodes public trust. It's just wrong. Also, when you go to speak as a citizen, when you go to speak at council meetings, it's not very welcoming when the council members ask you questions with that gotcha mentality. I don't appreciate that. I'm not the crazy drunk lady and, you know, I wasn't under any mind altering substances. And I really didn't appreciate the manner in which I shouldn't have received questions to begin with. But then they were just asked out of spite to make me look incompetent. Another thing that erodes public trust. And then my last question is, there was that bizarre 5-hour discussion about legal publications. Is this the presentation that we were supposed to get on that? This is not, this is something different.
Right.
Okay.
We had that one scheduled for next month, but I did want Jamie to speak to it tonight and kind of get some feedback now. So that way, if something comes up between now and then regarding it, I do have at least some input from the staff. So if there's no, are there any other questions to what Jamie has spoken to so far?
Richard Jesse.
Well, I'm interested in this conversation because for the last 2 or 3 years, I've seen stuff coming from the council bench, complaints about the way people are communicating. And that's something, as being involved with WIN, that I was very interested in working towards fixing, or at least providing an opportunity for people to come and learn how to address council in a way that would make it more efficient for the council members, but also for the people presenting, and make it more likely that they will be successful in presenting their arguments. But that is a concern. We heard that quite often. We also heard not just that you be concise, but don't repeat. It's a bad look for council to be saying stuff like this, honestly. We then had an MAPC that made the decision late last year, that they were no longer going to allow citizens to express their opinion about a zoning matter on Zoom like this. And if they really mattered to them, then you got to take off work or get a babysitter or get daycare, go in and sit down and wait your turn to speak like everybody else, most of whom are either paid by the city to work with developers or who are developers themselves and are there as part of their thing. And then I heard one of the councilmen, secondhand, one of the councilmen talking about, he thought that if you were going to speak, if you were a member of a board and appointed by council, that you would only be able to speak in support of an item that was being presented, that you had to basically be a beard for the councilman. I won't mention that person's name, but it doesn't surprise me that it came from that particular councilman, given their close relationship with developers in the city. And sometimes there is a lack of trust in city officials themselves. In MABCD, I've seen some questionable inspections, focusing on a particular area of the city, focusing on one individual in particular that seemed very odd. I'm trying to think if there was another couple instances where the city people themselves, I kind of questioned. I think you also mentioned the breakfast. I think you missed that. That Councilman Johnson has a breakfast the other day. I didn't see it on your list, but I could have missed it. That's another opportunity for people to have a little bit of engagement. The legal publications of legal announcements now, they said, oh, we want to have the website be the source of that instead of the newspapers. And I caution against that because of my experience on the animal board. When the board made a recommendation, whoa, my bird, she loves me, but she dives on me if I don't pick her up in time. Yeah. At the animal board, we said, hey, listen, we think that we should not allow the retail sales of dogs and cats because of their dependence upon puppy mills and cat mills within the city of Wichita. One of the council members went whole hog, tried to change our bylaws so that that kind of a anti-business mentality couldn't find its way before them. And then engage the police to lie about when they uploaded the agenda item for us to look at, because they wanted to keep it back from us so we wouldn't have a whole lot of time to ponder it. And that's not the first time that that sort of thing has happened on those boards. The city, it seems to me that the role of the city is to tax the individuals, to tax human beings, and to provide a way for the wealthy to come in and do whatever they want. The city, you have these board meetings and you say, oh, we want to get feedback about facades and the way these buildings are going to look. And then people say, well, we like what the city's architect has provided for us. We really like those. We feel like that's having some sensitivity towards the aesthetics of our neighborhood. And then MAPC says, well, we're not going to be making any recommendations about those anymore. Just as someone else said earlier about having a 25 vote yes and then still voting no or whatever it was. Those kinds of things, I think the city, in their rush to please and keep developers busy, forgets that the people who live in a place have a tie to that place and are concerned about how and where they live. We can't just pick up and move anymore. We're not wealthy enough as a people to just do. There's a very small percentage that can. And I think that the developers have a big upper hand in how things are done in the city and have a lot of arguments. It's a purple state, so maybe that's part of it. But the transparency thing is always under attack in any city. But this particular thing, especially if it's coming out of the city manager's office, we need to pay very close attention to this, because little by little they can chip away in a number of ways at how we speak, where we speak, when we speak, why we speak. So I'm glad that you're doing this, but you also mentioned that you put up the agendas and the minutes. The agenda, the minutes became very difficult to search. This is another restriction on speech when you place the historical documents in a third-party repository that doesn't allow us to search across the meeting, but only within one meeting. You see that's a problem. When I complained about the time at which the agenda for that animal board meeting was made, I mentioned it in the meeting. I said, well, no, you didn't do it a week ago, because SharePoint has a 24-hour indicator, and that was on that agenda, and it only lasts for 24 hours. So you did it a day ago at the most, right? The response by the city was to take away the view within the SharePoint, within the agenda center, that allowed me to see that indicator. So they just made it easier for them to finagle their agendas and time how the public gets to know. But we've had calls. President of WIN, I get a call 15 minutes before an important meeting about the spill up there in District 1. So this stuff goes on all the time. We see more and more of it, and thankfully people are getting more educated and they're picking up on it too. I think the city has a long way to go in terms of balancing the interests of developers and balancing the interests of people. And one of the things that I've been advocating for WIN, even before I was involved with WIN, is that neighborhoods with a plan need to find a way to engage developers in a conversation about how they can come in and build and do things that support the neighborhood and not put up things that are going to ruin it, which we see a lot. So that's the end of my rant. I don't know. There's a lot there.
Right.
I can actually speak to a couple of those. So time that agendas are posted. Open Meetings Act says they have to be posted within a reasonable time.
Yes. Very ambiguous.
And then Richard, have you looked on our new website yet at the minute?
at the, I was searching for minutes on the new website and had, didn't have a whole lot of luck finding.
Becca, is there a way you can bring up the website? So I'll show you, we have it posted in 2 places now.
I don't know that I'm
So-
gonna be able to see that.
It's- Yeah, there's 2 places. The first one always at the bottom of the city council page, you know, in the Granicus view where it's always been. The second. We'll have it up in just a second. You go to city council's page. Actually go to government. And then city council. It'll be under city code. And then click there. So on the city council's page, right here on the left side, you'll see agendas, minutes, presentations. So if you click that, it brings up PDFs of the agendas and the minutes. So this is different from that third party from Granicus that I typed the minutes in. This is a PDF version of it that should be more easy to search.
Okay, but what about like MAPC? That was the one with the board agendas.
With MABCD,
MAPC?
MAPC, okay. I am not
Those
familiar
are
with
the ones that I was having trouble with.
the county's website, okay. Yeah, those would be on the county's website, so.
They used to be on this, didn't they? Or they at least had a link to them?
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta, well, I think we have a point of order here, though. I think we've gotten off.
Yeah, we are a little off tangent, but Richard, they're hosted on the county website and we link to them on the city website, so
There's a link in the
we can
portal.
give the feedback to our county compartment, since that's a cross group, but
All right, sounds good. Carry
But
on.
yeah, I just wanted to show you on the new website where those are located, so you can find them, if you need to, and they're more easily searchable. If they're not, let me know, and, I'll see what I can do to fix it.
All right, thank you.
Well, first of all, I'm not more or less agree with most of the things she said. I go to several of those camp meetings, generally go to these, whether I'm on the board or not, and consistently see that the advisory boards vote a certain way, like to deny. The staff last night denied one proposal on both cases. I think it was unanimous that the council said deny. Problem was, it had already been an MAPCD or BCD and had already been approved in spite of the staff recommendations to deny. And, you know, we've had it here, the timing issue is kind of awkward sometimes. But, you know, you have a cab or a DAB that says deny. You have staff that says deny. MAPCD, MABCD consistently proves because of the makeup of the MABCD. They're real convenient. Anyway, so enough of that. Propel, you brought that up. How long has that program been? I took it as kind of an incubator for minority small businesses.
Propel started in 2021.
Okay.
And it is a 3-year low interest loan.
Okay.
To women-owned, minority-owned businesses get preferential,
Okay.
but anybody is welcome to apply.
Okay.
It's up to $20,000 to use for their businesses. There are some restrictions that you can't use it for, like payroll, taxes, things like that. But it is a low interest loan for businesses. They have to be at least 2 years established.
Okay, well, that answers part of the question is, you know, you have data on how successful the businesses that you support are.
Let's see, I awarded 1 loan the first round. Second round, we awarded 11 or 13. And then, and so in 2021, we did 1 loan, 2022. it is 11 or 13, I think it was 13
So-
loans.
24, 48 months out there still in business.
And then, yeah, and then since then it's opened up and we've awarded more.
So it's a successful program. Then employee vehicle decals, is this decals that you put on employee vehicles? Or is this decals that employees give people to put on their vehicles?
That I do not know, but we.
Oh.
find out.
Could be decals on city-owned vehicles.
Oh,
So
okay.
not like, they're not gonna wrap my Jeep Renegade outside. I know. Love that beautiful color.
We're not gonna go there.
We've added new wraps to our Wichita vehicles.
Yeah.
So,
And the buses.
yeah, I think some of the public works, the electric cars that the public works crew has would be the first ones you would notice, and they've got some of those newer design elements from our newest logo, as opposed to just like the really small print on the side of the door. So, look out for like white sedans that have like a pretty like
You're really
blue
careful.
ribbon and
She's still on the
yellow.
license plate.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Am I under 5 minutes?
You did. Anybody else from DAP? Anybody from the public? All right, Jamie, if you'd like to get into,
All right, so legal notices. This is fun, good stuff. So this was something, and full transparency, I started looking into it at the end of 2020. This was one of those lean projects. We're always looking for lean projects to do in the city. Help our budget, we need lean projects. So I started looking into a couple different departments that I know publish a lot of legal notices. Now, legal notices are those notices in very fine print that you'll see in the Eagle. Sometimes there'll be a notice of public hearing, sometimes there'll be an ordinance or a resolution. It's not our advertising. So it's not us advertising about, you know, the sales tax incentive or the water incentives or anything like that.
It's not that I appreciate the subject.
So I looked at the clerk's office, debt management, MABCD, and public works, I believe, environmental health. And just kind of looked at, hey, can you guys look at what you guys pay the Eagle or whoever you publish in every month for the last couple of years? Started looking at that and I was like, we're paying quite a bit of money for this, across just these select few departments. So I made this lane project and started talking to other cities. That's the benefit of city clerks. We have a listserv, we can communicate with other cities. And I asked, I was like, hey, who publishes online versus in the paper? At that time, which this was 2021-ish by this time, Hayes, Kansas was the only one at that time that did. Talked to them, figured out everything. Then I went to talk to legal and they're like, oh, we looked at this several years ago and we actually have a charter that we've kind of had set in back here. So right now, the state statute says you have to publish, cities have to publish in their local print newspaper. With an opinion from the Attorney General allowing second-class cities to move out from that. It also can allow per charter ordinance, a city of the first class, which is what Wichita is, to charter out from that. And so we have things called home rule, which allows us to charter out from certain state statutes. So started looking at that, looking at the cost savings. Over the next couple of years, I kept asking these departments, hey, do you guys have new totals for me? New totals, new totals. Our 2022 total, with just those select departments, was about 122,000. It has gone up from there. I know just this year, city clerk department publications, January was $13,000. February was 9,000. March was about 8,000. So it's, I mean, we're on track for 10 grand a month in just my department. Just looking at ways, cost savings. A council member brought this forward at the March 19th meeting for us to look into and discuss. So that's why it was brought up at Tuesday's council meeting. So just look into doing this, moving it out of being published in the paper, published on our website, on our legal notices page that I actually created back in 2022. And we've been dual publishing, both online and also in the paper, just to get used to that. We've had, since we've started talking about that website, I wanna say the clicks doubled probably since January on people looking at that website at the legal notices. So it's just, another different outlet to reach people. What we're wanting to know is this something that interests people? Or is the paper, is that how you do your legal notices? Do you even know that we have to publish legal notices? Just kind of what the community knows, what they think about it. I am getting a more comprehensive analysis of the entire city of what publication costs are. There are still certain publications that we do have to publish in the paper. So our contract with the Eagle is up August 31st, so we would put it out for bid. And at that point, see who's, what bid comes in better for those certain items we still have to publish. So I'm getting a comprehensive thing of our current totals, subtract those items that do have to be published. There's maybe a handful of them. But next month, you'll probably get another presentation on it, maybe a little bit more in depth, but we're here tonight. I started this whole adventure. So yeah, what are thoughts?
And essentially what she's asking is, last year, I believe we spent $123,000.
In 2022, we spent
22.
123.
123, so it's gone up a little since then. The 150,000 is a rough estimate as to what this next contract would be. And according to the state of Kansas, we are required to publish these notices in a paper of record.
Yes.
This is also so that way you can go back in the past, look at these, make sure if you see something, you want to go to a third party to actually look at it instead of coming to the government and asking for our records. Now, there is an opt-out. The state did have an opt-out for this for first-class cities to where, and it takes 5 of the 7 council members to do this, to change our ordinance, to make our website the paper of note. That would be, it's not a free service because we will have to pay people to, put it on there. We do have to pay staff, but it's greatly reduced. But at the same time, we do have additional notices, like Jamie indicated, that we do have to continue to pay and put out for bid. There are certain qualifications. I believe it has to be a paid newspaper and publish itself at least 50 times a year to qualify for this. So we're looking at, are there other papers of note? It used to be that we published in the Durbin newspaper notices like this. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Is on one hand, you are decreasing some accountability or some exposure that people can go to and look and see. At the same time, it's saving a little bit of money. So is it worth the trade-off? Do people, are they more likely to look at the newspaper for this, or are they more likely to go online? We do have a lot of older folks in the district, and I get quite a bit of emails about people not wanting to download the parking app when they go to Century 2. I get a ton of those emails. So again, what works for people, just because you put it out there doesn't mean they're going to see it, but at the same time, do you steer in a different direction from that? Accountability, transparency. Again, we hope to have a more thorough presentation on this at next month's DAB meeting, but I would like to just kind of hear just your general ideas and thoughts and concerns on this. Mike?
Does anybody know how many papers they publish each day anymore?
We have those numbers. The Eagle is a diminishing news source. But they're, if you go to the classifieds online, they're listed for free. So you don't have to actually pay for the Eagle to see these notices if you wanna go and look once a week and see.
The point I was trying to make out of 350,000 people, how many people get the paper?
What do we come up with, a subscription total about 25,000, I believe,
Less than 10%.
something around there. And that's
I mean, I
subscriptions.
I see them in the paper, but I don't take time to read every one of them
Right.
unless I think my name's gonna be in there.
Well, it's not about, imagine we're gonna be.
I like the idea of having them online and just reminding people of resources like with their libraries that, you know, you can, I don't know if there's an option to have them mailed, if they want like that particular section or get creative in that way, but it's not like a complete cutoff, like, no, you can't have something tangible if you don't want, but using like our libraries as a.
And that's something we're looking into as well, is for those who want a paper copy to make those available to them. People have asked about how do they know that what's being published on the city website is accurate? For ordinances and resolutions, that's approved by city council. So you have that in the council packet, as well as transferred over to the legal notices page. And I, as city clerk, write a affidavit certifying it too. Currently, when we send it out for publication in the paper, we send a Word document to them to convert, and information may be left off. You know, I mean, and then at that point, we have to have it republished. So it cuts down on that risk right there. But yeah, we've talked about making it available for anybody if they want a printout of that item.
Jamie, for the ones that are printed in the Eagle, let's say you want to look something up after the fact, how would you know what day it was printed on? How would you even begin to find that?
When we send, like, are you talking about when we send stuff to the Eagle and what day it should be printed on?
Well, I mean, like, if there's an MAPC case and I'm like, I wonder what the legal notice said about this, but well, it was a month ago.
Right.
How would I know what date it was published?
So I can speak to my ordinances and resolutions. At the header of all of ours that are available online, we put published in the Wichita Eagle on X date.
Okay.
So then you could go to the Eagle's website.
But really, you could just look at it online and it'd be right there.
Right. So you could go to the website and then see that legal publication.
Yeah.
From that date.
Jesse has a question.
Hi, yeah, you mentioned kind of, you know, if you stop sending out the Word documents to the Eagle, maybe it cuts down on the risk that something doesn't get it printed properly or that kind of thing. But I was kind of wondering about any consideration that's been made to the reverse. If the city kind of puts itself in charge of, you know, making these notices available, what is the potential risk and the potential exposure if something doesn't get put up in the proper time or is done incorrectly? Is there some potential legal ramifications the city would be taking onto itself that would need to be considered in terms of evaluating the overall value of this proposition versus the status quo?
Yeah, so it would be the same as it is right now if the Eagle misses a publication. For instance, some resolutions designating special assessments for projects have to be published like 2 consecutive weeks. Sometimes they might just be published 1 week and miss a second. We have to go back and have that republished again 2 more consecutive weeks because the Attorney General's office will not accept it. So something like that, we have to send to the Attorney General's office for projects.
When that happens and it's the Eagle's mistake, does the city still have to pay to have it published again, or does the Eagle publish it again at cost?
They publish it again at their cost as if it was their error.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good question.
I have another question.
Yes.
Online, if it was done that route, the way it would be available, would that allow to change like the language that it's viewed in if someone had a different like preferred language?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we have, I think our new website allows for that too, where
I
you
think a lot of things, websites do, but if you
Yeah,
have it's
we've
on
been,
a format.
making it more accessible.
That's
So, for people with hearing disabilities or language barriers, we've been making it more accessible.
And we plan on doing that regardless of if we repeal this ordinance or not, so that information will be there.
Well, one of the other challenges is, I know when I worked for the city, if city council decided to change an ordinance and it wasn't initiated by me or my staff, if it had to do with our division, our budget still got charged with it. And a lot of times that was not budgeted in, and so it can hurt the smaller city departments, not police and public works, they like less money, but the smaller departments take major hits on that kind of stuff.
All right, any thoughts from audience?
I guess my only concern is getting back to these, getting to them in a timely manner and being able to get back to them. I don't think we're at a point in history now where we ever have to be worried about being able to find something online. But it can be obfuscated. The ability to find that can be obfuscated. You know, that's been one of my pleadings with the city, was to get all of the important meetings and stuff in one area, get all the family stuff out so that we can be sure that we're communicating properly and that we're getting the information that we need. We don't have to go to YouTube to find this and Facebook for that. So obfuscation is very real. So getting that information down the road is going to be important. If we go and look at the minutes and agendas of city meetings, I think they start in 2017. I don't know how early it is, but you certainly can't go back any earlier. They weren't digitized and added for any kind of historical things, right? So we do have to be concerned about changes in platforms and ensuring that data is cared for and makes it over to new platforms. Legal notices are maybe not something that you and I look for all that much, but if someone has had to leave a rental and had trouble getting back to it, and all of their worldly possessions are in the garage, you know, they're going to want to know that there was, you know, hopefully that there's a legal notice, some attempt at reaching them that's publicly accessible, right? From anywhere in the world, right? I mean, that's what legal notices are. No matter where you are, we're putting this out there for you. My concern, based upon the histories I've had and from what I hear from citizens all the time, is that is there being a true transparency with these records. And I think having a third party involved in publishing those, it needn't be the only, but I think we need a third party, and that it's worth 250,000 a year to make sure that legal notices are getting out. There's too many ways of screwing stuff up, of screwing up transparency, and having that third party gives an extra bit of assurance to citizens. I would think maybe it's just purely symbolic, and anything that's going to be truly detrimental would happen whether or not that notice is published or not. But it seems like it's an important one to have.
I appreciate it, Rich. There's articles out there talking about it. I encourage you all to go take a look at that and take into consideration both sides of the argument. We are planning next month on possibly having a deeper report, like Jamie said. I invite her to come back out and join the funnest dab there is, that's for sure. But I do appreciate you taking the time tonight, and go home and tuck Benny Mae into bed and enjoy some time with the family while you can.
Yeah, so, if you guys have any suggestions or anything on whatever I talked about tonight, you can email me. City clerk's website on city clerk's site on wichita.gov. My email's right there, says my picture.
And I want to compliment Tyler. I emailed him about something that wasn't on the website that I'd like to see. He responded to me within 30 minutes.
Good.
It was great. I said he's working on it.
We've had a couple bugs with the new website, growing pains, all that, trying to
Sure.
make sure everything's on there. So if you don't see something on there, let us know and we can make sure it's on there.
Tyler, 30 minutes. I'm gonna have a talk, it's gonna make me look bad.
People were asking to find the minutes for the Animal Services Advisory Board and the audio, especially. I went on there on mobile and wasn't able to find it. I have seen it on there on my desktop a month ago or so. But we might want to make sure that the audio record of the meeting is on the Animal Services Advisory Board section.
Okay. I will check into that. All right.
All right, thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we'll do that first. It's on to council member agenda essentially, I believe. I don't know what it's- Yeah,
Board agenda.
board agenda. So you gotta.
We were directed by the city manager, so.
Okay, Becca's gonna direct you through this. Essentially, you guys are gonna have to figure out an appointee from DAB who would be interested in serving on this board, and Becca, take it away.
Thank you. So the housing office has been going through a process to do their annual action plan and consolidated plan, which oversees how they spend funding for the next 5 years. As part of that, they are convening a committee to look at grant proposals. Those grant proposals there's like a 2-page packet that's in front of you. Will be for public services as well as for emergency shelter operations. Currently, public services includes things like the Office of Community Services, my office that I work under, the Way to Work Youth Summer Program, Housing First Project Coordinator, some other employment services that are done through housing. And the emergency shelter operations are a 60% of the ESG grant that's made available through an RFP to operate a shelter, essentially. This committee will have 14 representatives total, and one of those representatives has to come from DAB3. So a member of your board has to serve in that capacity. We have to do this nomination tonight. It is due on the 9th of April. The single page that's behind your 2-page document shows the tentative meeting schedule. So the first meeting is planned for Thursday, May 16th from 2 to 4 p.m. The second one will be Wednesday, May 22nd from 3 to 6. And the final meeting is Thursday, May 30th from 2 to 4.
So if you want to take 2 minutes and read through this, and we'll see who all here would be interested in serving on this. If not, we're going to appoint one of the people who are missing from the meeting. That's what happens if you miss the meeting, so.
So you all can read and then discuss amongst yourselves, and you will make an official motion and second for a nomination.
Yep, so take a minute to read.
You said April 19th.
Discuss.
Yeah, what were the dates?
No, May.
Looks like
Yeah, that worked last.
grant
Oh,
review
it's on-
committee tentative meeting
May
schedule.
16th, 22nd.
And what would be necessary.
Richard and Jesse, I'll throw it in the
They
Zoom
said that
chat.
they're gonna do it virtually, so you don't even have to go anywhere.
I'd rather appear than.
I'm sure Sally can arrange that as well.
Anybody else looking at doing it?
It's the times for me, the 2 o'clocks,
with work would be really tight. I mean, I think I have a flexible job, but I think that would be pushing it at 2 o'clock. So that's where my hesitation comes in for me.
I'm just fiscally conservative to do it.
That could be a bonus.
I don't think so.
They have to spend the money, so you can't tell them no spending the money. It's federal money that we get for this program.
Well, you could be a gym.
This is for the Grants Review Committee, right?
Yeah.
Right.
The GRC, okay.
I'm willing to check it out one time.
Unfortunately, that's not an option. You have to either be nominated or not. There's no, I wanna try it out once and then
See. Either.
come back.
Yes, 3 meetings gotta be committed to.
Oh,
Yeah, somewhere she's getting a chill up her back, that's right.
So the only concern with nominating someone who is not here is if they can't serve, we will have to come back and we'll have to do an emergency meeting where you all will have to show up immediately to figure out who can be nominated and go.
So is
You keep
anybody,
that in mind.
who present would be,
Okay.
anybody present, anybody online, Jesse, Rich? Either of you interested?
Toby.
I did it once. Toby might do it. Hello. I did it
Those
once.
times would just not be, I would not be able to make those work. If you guys had caught me after the end of soccer season, that might be more doable, but.
I sympathize with you more and more, Jesse. Anybody present like to serve on this? Oh, look at this, guys.
We have to have a representative, so we can't
Well,
leave here.
I'd like to nominate Jerry. There's a lot of monies that Hilltop gets discussed, Plainview gets discussed as some of the sites for those locations. I'd like to have somebody who's sensitive to those areas, looking at that stuff.
I'm really in learning mode right now, so I'm kind of keeping my mouth shut and kind of wanting to absorb. I've been getting bombarded with a lot last few days and so. I don't.
Hold on one second. We are in Robert's Rules of Order, so a motion is on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Now you can discuss. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jerry. You can finish your thought.
They're scattered already.
Well, I would just tell you that the director of housing and the people they have listed on here are awesome. They're very patient, tolerant.
I really enjoy all you intelligent people. That's why I'm here. And it's just, I almost feel overwhelmed because you're a little way above my skill set.
No, we're
And
not.
I feel that. I'm trying to absorb it all. And
Yeah.
probably will do it.
Well, he doesn't mind, how long do these meetings usually last?
The times are on your thing. So there's
2
2 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours.
Oh, I just saw the start time, I'm sorry. I should read.
No worries.
See, I'm no good for these things, I don't pay attention.
And this is real low pressure, so it'd be a good place for you to get started.
That's kind of what I was thinking on that part. If
Would
it's
you
not,
be willing to help him out if he has any questions?
I'll give you my phone number and everything.
sure.
I'll be happy to help you.
And Janet worked for the city forever and ever.
No, just 1 or 2 years.
It is a good introduction, and I felt the same way because I didn't have any financial knowledge.
Get done with the meetings. Pardon me, sir? You'll be ahead of us when you get done with the meetings.
All right, so a motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm moving us forward.
Kind of pushy.
All against, same sign. All right,
Thank you, I think.
There goes the train.
motion has been made and passed.
I appreciate it, Jerry. Well, I'll bring you get to pick the cookies next meeting.
I'm trying to leave the cookies alone, you know.
Good luck with that.
Genesis about killed me today already.
Oh, yeah. You actually go to those things?
Oh, man.
Jeez.
2 hours today, I'm gonna pay for it tonight.
So I got just a couple of things here real quick. It hasn't been real active at city council here lately. Aside from what we've been working on as far as public engagement, some of those issues, the issues with the Eagle. Or the public notices, I guess would be the correct way to frame that. I did want to just follow up on the trip to DC. I know I talked about it. We did speak to Senator Moran's office as far as, the issues with the mailboxes go. So he's heard about it actually from a number of smaller communities in the state as well. It seems like it's a common trait that's happening. I think Salina, some of the smaller ones, I think maybe Jetmore, some of the smaller cities, towns. So he's looking to do a congressional inquiry into it and see what the deal is, why ours is so much higher than everybody else's. In the meantime, we're working with the office, his office, as far as if you have instances where you think something fishy went on, like you didn't get the notice at the mailboxes, or there was an issue with the dog in the neighborhood, or anything like that, send them to us and we'll send them to Senator Moran's office. And especially if you have people who have difficulty getting out to the corners or to the cluster boxes, if you've moved that far as well. It's a very difficult process to actually have mail still delivered to your house, but it's a lot easier if you have the backing of the senator's office. So send us any information about people who you think might fall into that gap, either disability, old age, just, you know, to have a greater barrier than the rest of us is getting to that. So, so we are still working on it, of course. You know, the post office is so difficult to work with. But we're gonna keep pushing on it the best we can, and at least we can hold them accountable for moving the boxes there in a correct timeline and correct manner than they currently are doing. On that same note, we also looked at, talked to the rail administration, and one of the things we brought up was trains stopping, slowing down, causing mass delays, as far as stopping on the main tracks. I know we get it here on the south side. It's even worse up off of 21st and Broadway, where they'll be waiting for 2 or 3 hours sometimes. So they are looking at that, and of course, we have a lot of push and momentum. We at least push for it. There is, and I'll try and make sure we post it on our Facebook page and our web page. As far as there is a portal you can go to and report it, because a big part of it is information gathering. So if you're sitting in traffic somewhere, we're even looking at possibly putting signs up next to the trouble spots, like, hey, if you're sitting in traffic more than 5 minutes, contact this number, contact this email address or this website and report it. Because that's a big part of it right there, so we can show them, have physical proof of where the trouble spots are, just how bad it gets. And again, we spoke about this a little bit. The train companies, the rail companies have a lot of power left over from the Civil War. Being able to move troops across the country, they took precedence, and then they had railroad barons and extremely powerful people. And so we're still being held accountable to laws passed in like the 1860s. So there's a lot of push, especially with some of the derailments we've had lately, to changing and amending some of these laws. But again, the more information we have, the more ammo we'll have when talking to them about it. So I'll get that and I'll post it on, we'll have it posted on our webpage here. Spread it. If you're ever in one of those situations, let them know what's going on. Again, I've been sitting here in traffic. It's gotten to the point we've seen children stopped in the school bus trying to crawl under a train to get to school on time. Like, it's ridiculous. So let's report it and at least have as strong a case as we can to fight it.
Do we report that to you?
Well, no, it won't be to me. It'll be, there will be a phone number and a portal. So like, they'll have like maybe a QR code or a website that you could go and report it on there.
We deal with both those issues continually. My shop's on Lincoln and Santa Fe. There's 4 train tracks through there.
Yep.
One will stop, and then they also back up and change cars there.
Yep.
And then the community mailboxes. I have a whole neighborhood of elderly folks.
Yeah,
There's nowhere to turn the vehicles around. They can't get up to them. Some of them are on little steps. They can't even make it up that little step to get to them. Some have fallen down.
yeah, definitely.
Who's liable if they fall down? There's my community, Hilltop Manor, or is it gonna be the post office? That we've been through both.
Individual responsibility.
Some have fallen out in the middle of the street. Nancy Ross, for instance, she crashed and burned pretty hard. And
Well, again, forward those to me. Sometimes I've heard the standards are pretty high to get on that. They're like, does somebody come and visit you once a week? Well, then they should be able to check your mail for it.
Yeah.
But, again, we can push on that as hard as we can. So if you have people like that, shoot me their info and I'll pass it on to the senators.
you know Nancy Ross, the Department of Aging? I think she's retired now, but she,
Not off the top.
she fell, she got hurt bad
I hate to hear that.
in the middle of the street.
Well, along the mailboxes, you know where I live, and I would say over 50, I haven't counted, but I would say over 50% of the residences there have brick mailboxes. The majority of, the bulk of which have been put in within the last 30 days to 18 months. They're not cheap. You know, they're supposedly attractive. And to be told, you know, that, well, we're not gonna use this expensive mailbox you just did to go down there to this POS thing, that's kind of rude.
Yeah, that one's kind of strange to me because you get the cluster boxes after the third dog attack on the mail carrier in the neighborhood.
Well, here's the problem. We have people right across the street that have huge Great Danes, but they have the buried wire with the collars and the dogs stay there. Right next door to us, they have 3 dogs. You're not supposed to have 2, and they've got the buried, you know, hidden fence. So if the mail carrier has to go up to the porch to drop off a package or something, now he's in the dog's domain.
Right.
So it gets a little awkward. But anyway, I did want to bring up, we had a vehicle come off of 63rd Street onto Madison and kind of limp onto the shoulder with 2 flat tires and missing the headlight and stuff. It was there at least 3 weeks. It had been stickered for tow for probably 2.5 weeks of that and never got towed. And of course, you know, we've got our little Facebook group for the community and, you know, like, well, it's probably stolen. Well, if they put a sticker on it, they should have checked the bin. So anyway, I took the bull by the horns and called Patrol South and told them, and they said, well, we'll talk to an officer, and lo and behold, it's gone the next day, so kudos to Patrol South.
Yeah, just contact us with any of that and we'll do what we can. So yeah.
You know, these guys would rather sit around and gutch.
I hear you. I appreciate you reaching out on that.
And those cluster mailboxes, how do they keep on those keys straight?
How do you do
I
what?
mean, people are constantly moving.
Yeah.
They gotta pay for them. They get the first one, they move in, then if they move, then they gotta pay for that.
Buy the key.
Some of them have been broken into and you name it, my neighborhood is all happened.
But if they get a parcel that doesn't fit in the box, what do? You got to go to the post office?
Yeah.
And if you don't have a car?
No, I hear you. There's definitely some accessibility issues there. And I don't understand. Somebody said, you know, the dog can jump up and get your arm, but I don't quite understand if you're in a mail truck delivering mail to the curb. How, and some of it, that's a suspicion, is some of it, a mailman or a mail carrier feels threatened. Which we don't want to dismiss that, because there, you know, there could be genuine issues with that. But at the same time, you know, when you're cutting off mail service to a lot of people, and it's happening all over our districts, more than most, I think. Now, some of the newer communities, when they are being built, they do have the cluster boxes. So if you go out east and western, you do see that more and more. But again, you know, in our side of town, we do have a lot of disabled people. We have a lot of elderly people. So it is an accessibility issue with that, and we just want to push on it and defend our people as best as we
We've
can.
got the post office, DHL, UPS, Amazon, gotta be somebody else. They all bring packages up to the porch and I don't hear them want special boxes.
Yeah, I hear it.
We got videos of mailman picking on Doberman. But the other mailman after that wouldn't go near him, so.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, the last thing I have for us, we don't have a speaker yet. I think we're gonna discuss that. No? Okay, I do believe Knockwind, that's right, okay.
Okay, I'm just like, there's a flyer that's circulating, so it's not. please tell me.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, it's been such a long couple of weeks here. Knockwind, our school board member, District 3 school board member, is scheduled to speak at our district breakfast next Saturday, 9:30 at the Christian Faith Center off of Pawnee and Hillside. You know, there's a lot of important issues to talk about here. Jar line closed, so that's 190 students from Plainview community who are going to be going to meet. We're trying to work out some busing options on the city's behalf to try and make sure those kids make it to the school in a safe and timely manner. There's also a couple of our schools such as not Curtis, what's the Caldwell and Allen will be receiving extra students because one of the schools on the border, Clark, is closing, so they'll be getting, I believe, 70 students and 90 students out of those two schools. So with the school closings going on, possible consolidation in the future, it's definitely something you guys want to get out to and check out because Knock is it's definitely a topical issue, and Knock did vote against the school closings. He was one of 2 members on the, I believe, 7-member school board who did vote against it, and we could talk to him why and tell him our concerns and what we'd like to see the school board work on and really focus on in the upcoming years. So it'll be a great chance to interact with one of our local electeds. So again, Christian Faith Center, not this upcoming Saturday, next
13th.
Saturday, the 13th.
Saturday after this coming.
Yes.
Right, so not in a couple days, but.
Right,
April
got it.
13th. April 13th.
9:30 a.m. $5 ask, but
Yeah.
again, I dump a couple of 20s in there, so everybody, please come out, even if you can't afford the breakfast, you're covered, so. It's, again, best breakfast in the city. They said they serve rabbit food in District 1 and I think coffee in District 6 and donuts in District
We'll see,
1.
the brand new CSR just started, who knows what they're gonna serve in District 1.
Yes, sir.
Couple guys, announcements more or less. Monday, they had a big party out at ICT or YDI now airport. Said that that's 70th anniversary of the first commercial flight out of that airport. They, they served food and they had, gewgaws and swag or whatever. I didn't get back to town from Oklahoma City till 15 minutes before it was over. But one of the guys that works, he said that there was a big turnout. They cooked a lot of burgers and dogs and everybody had a grand time. And then coming up on the 18th of April, correct, stop me if you can't say this, but they're having a celebration of the new roof at Century 2. It's a public party from 5:30 to 7:30 at Century 2. And it's free to the public.
Yeah.
So,
What color is it?
the new roof, blue. Iconic blue. They even went down and found the original color.
Yeah, that was a $5 million project.
Out of the 15 million committed, wasn't it?
Huh?
Out of 15 million committed, wasn't it?
I think 18 million
18.
over the next decade.
And then one last thing, is this shrinkflation, did these get smaller?
They've been that size for the last 3 years.
30?
Three
Well.
years.
I'm getting sick because things getting smaller.
You're just getting bigger.
Office Depot changed the
Yeah, okay.
standard ones.
It's his turn.
Yeah, Mike, did you have anything?
No,
No?
except I didn't know about the hamburgers at the.
It was on the website.
Saturday, all the farmers markets open up too this year.
Oh, cool.
Sweet.
That's true.
And I know Jerry goes to a few of them to sell his honey and.
I'll probably bring honey to the breakfast this time.
I just had to go to bed. It's closing off.
Your turn.
I got some green honey this time.
You need a motion?
Yep, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Big Richard in favor.
I want to full eye. All in favor?
All right, all opposed, the ayes have it, the ayes do have it. Everybody have a safe month until we see again.
Thank you.
And,
See you Saturday.
yeah,
Let's have fun. Not this Saturday, but next
next
Saturday.
Saturday.
Next Saturday.
Here we go.
This Saturday is farmer's market, next Saturday
What
for
is
breakfast.
This
This is actually a
Bird
purse for
birds.
Debbie, but she didn't show up today.
Debbie's your bird?
No, Debbie is, the lady who was supposed to sit right here.
A perch for her.
For her